El Maestro speaks.
El Maestro Speaks
El Maestro speaks.
Podcast.
Tinapoy, lawakan usay ayaman no bumida kanut man atong.
Alright, that song is composed and yes, written and made or sung by one of the legendary composer and singer of Benguet province and Cordillera as a whole. None other than Ruben Gabel Tomas, otherwise known as Swing. Sadly, he crossed the afterlife just days ago. And our condolences to the family of Manong Swing. Yeah, he's also a known comedian. Yeah, though he didn't have any comedy movies, but yeah, as a known comedian in our circle of friends. Good singer, one of the best songwriters here in the Cordillera, and a local movie producer and an actor.
Walay isa nadayaw ay pamilya.
Yeah, for those who are listening that does not or do not understand the message of the song, it's all about maintaining the strength of the house or the family, and the effects of giving up on the promise that you gave to your wife.
Nawaabos ka ay ayam Tangi pudot kanon di bumunyang Yamalas mo amin ay panigusyuan Sana po'y lawas ay ayamon Tay namat mangdadal sinunang Tadi dapat kasasagahan Pamilya pa'y tinaynan
Yeah, this past election, Manong Swing is one of the most tapped, I guess, was the right term for that. The in-demand songwriter that's being tapped by all the politicians to write jingles for them. Yeah, so yeah, he will always be remembered as, he's a legend. He is a legend in the field of music and entertainment. Anyway, so how's everybody here in Benguet? Yeah, just after the election, I think everybody's still at the height of election fever. The result, some people don't believe the result. Some people are making videos expressing their disappointment on the result of the election, not believing it, even telling that there might be something wrong with the result, that somebody cheated. You know, the bottom line, like what we always say after election here in the Philippines, is that nobody loses, everybody, and if you lost, okay, they did wrong on you or somebody cheated. Okay. So yeah, that's the drama that's happening, unfolding right now here. And I want to talk about how to accept defeat. Yeah, this tip might help those people telling us that the winners of this election cheated. You know, how to accept defeat. Well, it is applicable in any kind of situation that you're into. And say, for example, you encounter failures, you can use this one. Okay. So we will call this one as the Ama advice. Ama in our language means father. So yeah, what I want you to do is to follow this one, Ama advice, and A stands for acknowledgement. Okay. So, to accept defeat, to accept the loss, accept the failure, first and foremost, you have to acknowledge that you lost, and acknowledge the victory of the other side. Acknowledge that they won. Don't say that they cheated or they rigged the system. That's why they won. You have to first acknowledge that they won. Acknowledge that you lost. That's the first thing that you should do in order to accept defeat. You know, we understand it's very difficult to accept defeat, especially if you're one of those fanatics. Using politics as an example again, if you're one of those fanatics who had been supporting those politicians, okay, never having enough sleep for 45 days campaigning for them, and then here comes the result and they lost. We understand it's difficult to accept defeat. That's why the first little step that you have to do is to acknowledge the defeat and acknowledge that they won. You know, if that's difficult, then we cannot move on to the next part. So you have to acknowledge the defeat, and most of all, acknowledge other parties' victory. Okay, and despite how hard it is, do not say that they rigged the system or the system is rigged, because what will happen if your party won? So you're the one who rigged the system now if your party won, you know? So just acknowledge that they won, acknowledge that you did not. As they always say, it is what it is. Okay? That's how you start the art of letting go. Okay? Acknowledge it. And slowly, you will let it go. Yeah, you know the song, Let It Go, Let It Go? Yeah, just let it go. So that's letter A in the AMA advice.
Your love is like the sun.
The next one is move on. Move on. Yeah. Letter M, move on. How are we going to do that, by the way? So, well, life is multifaceted. Okay. You are facing a lot of situations at the same time, and life does not revolve only in that one certain aspect that you failed or that you did not get through, or the life does not revolve on whatever event that you lost. You know, example, election. When when the politician that you're rooting for did not win, life does not evolve in that person. So you gotta move on. Take a look at your life. Maybe there are some facets of your life that needs attention. Maybe for the 45 days you haven't taken a bath because you're so busy campaigning. So, focus on those aspects of your life so you can move on. Move on. Think of the future. Okay? You cannot bring back the past or the result. You cannot overturn the result by complaining, right? By saying nasty things to those who won. So the best advice that I can give you guys, especially to those who are, let me just call you fanatics, is to move on. Your life is multifaceted, like I said. And I want you to take a look at your life, pick up those facets of your life that you did not or you have given less attention to, and fix it. That's how you start moving on. You know? It's difficult to do it, but you can do it day by day. Okay. Try to keep yourself busy with the other aspects of your life, and time will help you forget the pain of losing. That's moving on. That flows down to my veins. I feel the juice. Yep. And the next one is to adapt. That's the third letter is A, right? In the Alma advice, adapt to whatever challenges that will be brought upon or brought about by the event's result. For sure, there will be changes, right? Your candidate did not win. Of course, there are changes. You know, maybe there are changes on the way you do business, changes on the way you process everything, your everyday movement. So you got to adapt to that, right? And it is not the end of the world. You know, I was reminded of this TED talk that was given by one of the UFC legend, Rich Franklin, wherein he talked about the art of losing. You know, art of encountering failure, and it's the same advice with the one that I gave you. I just simplified it with the 3 steps of acknowledging. That's the first thing that you have to do. Okay? In order for you to accept the defeat, is that you really have to acknowledge that they won, acknowledge that you lost, and then move on. Find ways or focus on different things Okay. Or another way of moving on is looking at ways. What could you do or can you do differently so the result, if this happens again, will be different from what you have now. And then the third one is adapting, changing your ways, changing your tactics, and for sure adapting to the results, okay, and challenges that will be brought out by what happened. Will be the challenges, okay, that will come out from that failure will for sure be very, very big, but the art of adapting, if you know how to adapt, that will solve everything. Well, humans, ever since the beginning, is good at adapting. We are not here to where we are today if humans are not good in surviving and adapting, right? So, really, the art of adapting to situation is really a natural skill that each one of us have. If we don't have that, we will not survive. We will not be here. And then, aside from using the Alma, okay, always, okay, let's add another one on the acknowledging. Acknowledge that there will be a lesson that you can learn from your defeat or from your loss. There will always be a lesson. That's why we always use this quote. Sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. Right? So, acknowledge the winners, acknowledge you lost, and acknowledge that you will learn something from this. Okay? Take a positive perspective. Regardless of what happened, you should have a positive perspective on things, on the situation. So acknowledge that you will learn something from it. Okay. And use the lesson to move on. Okay. Use the lesson to move on. And by moving on, it also means you use the lesson that you learned from that experience, and you move on means you grow up also. You improve yourself. And by improving yourself, okay, you are naturally adapting to the situation, changing your ways, so that next time that you will encounter, and the next time that you're planning to run for office, you will win. Why do we keep on using politics here? Well, here in the Philippines, the election season just concluded days ago, so that's the reason why we're using this one. And here in the Cordillera, there are still a lot of people who are posting opinions in the social media saying that they cannot accept that their candidate lost. Yeah. Now, yeah, for sure those are fanatics. But that is the reason why I came out with this topic for this episode of this solo podcast where Maestro speaks. Okay, how to accept defeat. And how to accept defeat, we should use AMA. Acknowledge, move on, and adapt. Yes, simple as that. And again, in every bad situation that we get ourselves into, may it failure, loss, it is part of a learning experience. It's part of the human growth, human development. That those situations teaches you something. Those situations um, contributes in your survival, your development as a human being. And it's not a loss, it's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to look back, okay, and go back to the drawing board and take take a proper look, evaluation. Take a proper evaluation of yourself, so you can move, or you can progress, or you can develop yourself. That's it. That is all about Ama. Yeah, I cannot gather my thoughts in a proper, smooth way because this is my first time recording this podcast with somebody around me. A solo podcast with some people around me, so, there's that. Anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll be seeing you around. Bye-bye.
Give it a whole